So there are a few names that have been very, very consistently linked to Leeds United over the past few transfer windows, and you will know the majority of them. I've talked about them a lot on this channel, everyone's talked about them a lot on their channels, but it's quite rare that they will then proceed to go and speak out about their links to the club and just generally life in football. But we've had someone sort of break the silence, specifically Edward Spertsyan, who has done an hour and 20-minute long interview. I don't know who for, because
расположен к агентам.
Ну, это ты знаешь, наверное.
it's aggressively Russian. However, I've been through it. I've gotten an entire transcript of the whole thing. I've translated that and read the entire thing, and I've picked out some of the key details that we need to sort of pay attention to find out what went wrong in previous sort of moves for Spertsyan, if there's a potential move going on in the future. A few fairly dark and unpleasant things that are going on at Krasnodar, and ultimately what this tells us about Leeds' transfer strategy. So, to begin, let's have a little bit of context. Leeds United, late in the windows, have a tendency of having a look at Edward Spertsyan and going, well, as a midfield and attacking option, he's very, very good. And this seems to have sort of made its way through to him, because with a day and a half left of a transfer window, I believe last summer, he received an offer, and the offer was for a sort of 12-month loan with a few years afterwards, so a loan to a permanent deal, presumably in order to get around the sanctions issues. The player was not particularly happy with this, and specifically word for word, he said that it felt like it made him a Bulgarian third-tier player. He felt like he was a player that would be like taken in as sort of a, well, we'll see how it goes on a trial basis and then we'll sign him permanently, seemingly not quite understanding the wider context of everything. We'll learn a lot that he doesn't tend to be very good at the wider context of things. He also says that he got this initial offer from a completely random third-party intermediary, not through his agent, but he's not got an agent. We'll get into why that is a little bit later. So that means that he didn't really take the move too seriously, and he basically said, go and talk to the club, don't talk to me, I'm not the decision maker here, which sort of fair enough, but we'll get to that a bit later. In addition to that, he received a presentation from Leeds United, as has been discussed by very, very many Leeds players recently. I think Stack mentioned it, I think Longstaff mentioned it. The case of, here's a 90-minute presentation, here's what you're good at, here's why we think that fits in well with us, here's how we can improve you, and ultimately why it's a really, really good mix, and let's just go forward with it. In response to that, he said, and I really like this quote, we've been talking for 2 years. Why the presentation? I'll be pleased to give you an offer. So I think that's a sort of weird mistranslation. I think that's more of a, I'll be really happy if you could just send me an offer over now. That'd be really, really good. So it seems like he's still got a little bit of an interest in a move and all that kind of stuff. But this is where we get to a little bit of weirdness as to why a move is potentially absolutely not going to happen. The first of them being the fact that he doesn't actually have an agent because, and I'm going to quote this as accurately as I can from my notes just to make sure I'm getting it right word for word. Krasnodar drill into the players that an agent tends to mean conflict, and it makes conversations more difficult. Now, looking at that from the outside, you kind of think, that's a little bit weird, that's okay. I mean, I kind of get it from Krasnodar's perspective, but the fact that they're saying this to kids even at academy ages is weird, but okay, I kind of understand you're trying to make things easier for yourself in the future. It's not great from a player welfare perspective, and neither is this bit, which says that Edward Spertsyan didn't actually allow a lawyer to read his contract because, you know, he can read everything that's in there himself and roughly understand what it means. So at your owning club's request, you don't have an agent, which makes it significantly harder to manufacture an exit, as we've learned earlier on when he had an offer saying, would you like to come to Leeds United? And he was like, don't know why you're talking to me, talk to the club. Obviously the club's going to be in a position where they don't want to lose you. You're one of their best players. If you had an agent, maybe you'd have an opportunity to make a move that you've reportedly been so desperate to make, but apparently not. And then in addition to that, no wonder he was a little bit screwed on his contract, because there was a weird case where everywhere thought that his contract was expiring, but the reality of the situation was he had another 3 years on it, presumably because, well, he's not got anyone properly reading the contract because it's just him. It's just him being like, does this look okay? Yeah, it looks probably fine. You're not a legal expert, Edward, in the slightest. In addition to that, Spertsyan mentioned that Russian sides could, in theory, demand significantly higher fees because they're not in the Champions League. So 10 or 12 million players, he said, would be more likely to cost something like 30 million quid around now. And this all adds up to something that he mentioned fairly early in the interview, in which he stated that I actually also think if I can't leave this summer, the older you get, the more difficult it will be, because he's getting a little bit older, he's got less sort of unrealised potential, which is going to be a potentially big thing that a lot of clubs pay attention to. But ultimately, I think it's a weird show of resignation from him. It's this weird thing of like, I've not been able to get a move yet, and will I in the slightest? I don't. Will it ever happen for me? And it's like, yeah, if you get a fucking agent, maybe. If you get someone who's actively advocating for you rather than the club that owns you being the ones that are responsible for negotiating your way out, yeah, maybe you'll get something. But outside of just the Spertsyan stuff, it does say a few things about Leeds United's transfer strategy that I think are quite interesting. And the first of which is the fact that it speaks to the fact that we've got a lot of plates spinning at one time. You'll have everybody in a transfer window going, why are we putting all our time and effort into this one person? Why aren't we looking at everyone? And at the same time, odds are we are looking at everyone, as we've got proof of here. We've been talking to Spertsyan for 2 years. And it's a case of having a wide range of targets and making a move when you feel it is appropriate, as opposed to, well, we're struggling a bit for Pajot, it's been 3 days, let's just do someone else instead. Like, it feels wise not only to say, we've got a list of 4 targets, but to actively contact those targets and be like, do you actually want to come here? If yes, you're staying on the list. If no, we'll change the list. That'll be lovely, that'll be fine, that'll be good. And I think it's a situation that's likely to continue for a good long time, because it's worked out for us, let's be honest. Since the 49ers have come in as full owners, it's been a case of the first season was just a complete rebuild, second season we got promoted, third season, I'd say right now we're overperforming to what people were expecting, which, you know what, I will take it. As we keep on growing, I think we'll be in a stronger position to have those situations of, we'll keep eyes out here, 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 and here, and we will make bids for the best player on that list, and if it doesn't work, we'll go to the next. And hopefully that continues to work out for us, as it's worked out pretty damn well for us so far. Anyway, that was a little bit of an insight into about 3 hours of me translating and reading and note-taking on an interview with a very confused Armenian man, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, pop a like on it, subscribe if you're not yet, become a channel member, all the fun stuff. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. Toodaloo.